We raised the question with this group as to whether or not there isn't some role that we can play in this whole matter of crime prevention. As you know, the Negro community is perhaps more victimized by crime than any other segment of the community, and so we have a very important self-interest in this, even though we are not responsible for all the crimes that are committed.
Did you come up with any answers?
Well, actually, it's such a complex problem that you can't come up with a yes or no answer or a pat answer, but we did come up with a structure to continue this kind of discussion and also to develop a brochure which would be extended throughout the whole of the community, Negro and white community, for this purpose of trying to educate and trying to get people to help with the matter of prevention of crime.
It can easily be said that Detroit, Michigan is one of the richest cities in African American history, with talent coming from all walks of life. If we're talking about basketball, there's Chris Webber, there's Jalen Rose. If we're talking about boxing, there's Sugar Ray Robinson, there's Joe Louis. If we're talking about religion, there's C.L. Franklin and there's Aretha Franklin. There's just so much more to the city of Detroit that you might not know. Did you not know that the Nation of Islam got its start in Detroit, Michigan, and the Nation of Islam produced Malcolm X and Elijah Muhammad and also Louis Farrakhan? But the city of Detroit also was a beacon of hope for many African Americans moving from the South, coming to work for companies like Ford and General Motors, Buick, Chevrolet, things like that. But then something happened in the city. The city started getting outcompeted by competitors in the assembly line industry and the auto industry like Toyota, Honda, the Japanese automobile industry. And then when you have a couple of bad mayors like Coleman Young, Dennis Archer, and the infamous Kwame Kilpatrick, the city continues to plummet into where it is now. And that means you don't have a lot of funding because people are leaving Detroit. It's also one of the largest cities where you have a huge immigration outside of the city. So a lot of funding doesn't get put back into the city as far as police involvement and things like that. That's why these black men come in to fight these crimes. Black men such as the Detroit 300 or New Era have been organized to come back and help the police fight crimes in the community.
Local community groups like New Era Detroit continue their push to fight crime from the ground up.
And they now have a new tool that can try to help with an app. Fox News' Brandon Hudson shows us how it works.
I grew up on the northwest side, so I'm very familiar with northwest Detroit and the layout, the people.
When we're talking about the youth in our community.
Zeke Williams, New Era Detroit's founder and president, on the front lines of a neighborhood he knows too well, and talking about a subject he's familiar with: preventing violent crime.
That's the reason that we do what we do, especially when it comes to children being murdered out here in our streets and our communities.
Several blocks from where we walk near Schoolcraft is what Detroit police consider one of the most violent neighborhoods in the city. This map shows the layout. New Era will work to reduce violent crime in that specific area as a part of the $10 million Shot Stopper initiative.
But then there are some people who are very critical of these men because, hey, why are you out here risking your life for black people in Detroit? I mean, you should just move out of the city like everybody else. You're not going to get anything from that but just wasting your time. And that's what we're talking about today with this man by the name of Robert Wayne Lee. He's also known as Bubak Shakur. What was his contribution to the city of Detroit and its surrounding areas? Well, as you know, online predators happen all the time. It's a predatory behavior and it's affecting a lot of people, not just in Detroit, but all around the world. But what this man did was great. He disguised himself as a young girl. And then when he would meet up with the person, he would confront the individual. He got 35 people arrested, even a police officer. But then, unfortunately, something happened to him. Let's check that clip.
Robert Lee was known for exposing those who troll teens online, using social media to pose as an underage girl luring in predators.
I've caught 35. He'll be number 35 that I caught.
This is from an interview we did with Lee last year, after he outed a sheriff's deputy for allegedly trying to solicit sex from a minor. That deputy was fired as a result. He kept going from there until last night when a confrontation cost him his life. Police say he confronted two men inside a Coney Island in Pontiac. Lee accused one of them of being a pedophile and punched him. In return, one of the men pulled out a knife, the other a gun, and shot Lee to death. At a vigil outside the restaurant, friends and family mourned his death.
We're going to honor his memory. We're here to show support and show that, everything he did was not for nothing. We're here to show that he really made an impact on the community.
From the get, police have called Lee's work well-intentioned but dangerous.
We know he has good intentions from this, and we've actually suggested to this individual multiple times, this is really dangerous. And here's some of the problems and pitfalls with doing this. And tragically, it played out that way.
So this man loses his life after confronting two people about said situation. I know what people are going to say. Well, firstly, why didn't he call the police? He's not a police officer. What is he doing trying to fight people that he's accusing of committing these crimes? He should have put it in the hands of the police. And the police chief, or the police officer that was talking on the behalf of him, was sort of making that claim vaguely. That's true. But how many black men have been killed in New Era, or beat up, or in the Detroit 300? The question is, should black men be risking their lives for the sake of the black community to get better, especially in these situations that they should not create? Well, let me kind of go to this clip here, right? Because I was listening to a young brother by the name of King Randall. He's in the state of Georgia. And of course, as a young man, he's out here helping a lot of youth in the black community, and he's doing an excellent job. Probably one of the best jobs I see in black America. Way better than Dr. Umar Johnson, might I add. And he pretty much was answering the question, like, should black men get involved with their community? Here's what he had to say.
My throw with that is to men who are complaining about the community and who have issue with said community. If you haven't said issue, what are you doing? And the first part you can start with is going to mentor a young man. And I'm not talking about, just financially or anything like that. You could take him under your wing and ask his mom, can you pick him up from school every day? And you holler at him or whatever like that, make sure he good, got maybe a $2 burger or whatever like that, and take him home. This is an hour, 30, 45 minutes a day or whatever. But these little small things you could do, help find a family. For those of you who can, find a family to feed, help them out, see what they need, ask or teach, again, mentor some kids. It's not hard. And I'm going to say it's not hard, not for men who want to see the community do better, because most men who have the intellect to want to see the community do better are doing something with themselves. If you're doing something with yourself, you can do something with a kid. I can't sit back and say I want the community to be better and not do anything besides help myself. That is insane. I just think that's disingenuous. You could be doing something. And to me, I believe if you don't have any children, if you don't have a family at home, which many men I know don't, you could be doing something.
I know a lot of black men can appreciate what he did. And, if it's you probably don't want to get involved with something like that because, hey, you have your own family. Why should you risk your life trying to protect others? I get it. And that might not be something that I'm willing to do to that extent. But here's what I'm not going to do anymore. I'm definitely not going to talk down on people like that anymore. I used to feel like such people were silly and such people were stupid. But when I think about how I am right now in my life, where I'm at right now, it's only because somebody helped me. All of us who are African Americans right now living at this point in time, we are only here because somebody helped us. Somebody had some level of altruism, whether they knew us or not. They opened the door for us and suffer so that we can be here, so that the streets can be safe, so that you would have a better chance. So what I would say is this: I'm not gonna down any black man who decides that they want to go ahead on and do this. I won't participate in that sort of behavior. But what I will say is, if you want to have some level of respect in the community, and if you don't, that's fine. Like he said, listen, if you don't want to do it, that's fine. Just don't criticize the black community if you're not willing to go ahead and help. And like I said, what our forefathers did was great, but there's still so much more to be done. Now, would he be alive today if he handled it differently? Possibly. But at the same time, people like him are some of the people that I grew up in my community. I had people that helped me, that mentored me, that stopped me from going in the wrong way, that didn't have to be involved in my life, but they were. And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be where I am right now. So you have have to understand in any kind of communities that you're suffering and you're not doing very well, you need all the help you can get. Now, I can definitely understand why black men don't want to do it. And if you don't want to do it to that extent, there's always something that you can do. You can always fund people who want to do it. Like Brother Street Media TV, you know, that's Brother George Macon. He has a program in Philadelphia called Urban Nerds TV, where he takes kids to Howard University. He takes kids to Temple University. He takes kids to the University of Pennsylvania to do all of these things going in the city of Philadelphia. Now, you might not want to do that. That might not be what you want to do, but we don't have to criticize a black man like Brother George Macon, who is out there willing to participate and help the community. If we can't say nothing nice about what he's doing, we shouldn't say nothing at all. Or what we can do is we can try to fund the brother. If we can't be out there on the ground, we can try to get initiatives to help fund what he does, and then let him handle that while we stay somewhere else. Those are things that other groups do, but I just don't see why we as black men, spend our time, belittling black men who feel like they want to mentor kids or they want to help the community. And then while we somehow sit here all day complaining about the black community, how terrible it is, but we're not willing to give no level of assistance to it. So I will say to the brother, rest in peace, and I will let you be the deciding force as if you should do something for the community or not. It's up to you. But definitely, I do thank him for his work, and 35 people are off the street because of this man. That means there's a greater chance that children are going to be more safer in Detroit tonight. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy O'Shea D. Jackson, back at it again. I really appreciate you for all that you do. Subscribe, hit the bell. We're out.